pieces. We have to understand what the problem is so we can put the puzzle pieces in there to fix it, to offer a solution. And if you can solve a problem, whether it's the employer or the broker, you are in good graces, because you have to understand what that problem is first, all right? So what I talk about is what benefits is. Benefits is the ability to make employees happy, right? Benefits, and I'll give you my best examples, right? You guys love eating at Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out Burger or Starbucks,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You know the difference between a Costco employee and a Sam's employee. Does anybody know that? It's
Yep,
not a joke.
I used to work for Costco.
Tell me what that is. That's a wonderful thing.
We got offered everything, you know.
What does everything mean?
Benefits, health insurance, voluntary.
How was your pay?
It was good.
Was it better than Sam's?
Yes.
Yeah? And so when you go into a Costco, thank you for, that's really wonderful. When you go into a Costco, you see what the employee does, right? Hey, I need some help right here. What do? They actually help you. You go into Sam's or you go into Walmart and they're like, yeah, I just punch a card here, right?
Yeah.
I don't do anything, right? Walmart to me is probably the baseline bottom of employers, right? They don't pay employees, they don't offer benefits, right? Until last week, did you guys see what happened on the news? Well, Walmart has figured out that they cannot maintain this type of business model. So now they go out there, and last week they announced they're going to offer SAT tests for high school students for free if you come work for them, right? They're going to also offer education, right? The tuition to college. Now, how they're going to do it, I have no idea. Or is it going to be so impossible to actually hit the levels to where you actually get tuition dollars? I don't know. But when you think about it, right, the employers that are doing the good stuff, right? You look at Chick-fil-A, you notice those employees never have a bad day. They never have a bad day. They're always smiling, they're always happy. And is it because it's just their training that they get, which they do have a wonderful training. You say thank you to a Chick-fil-A employee, what do they say?
My pleasure.
My pleasure. They don't do that because they've just been trained well to do it, because they have been. But they do that because there's a big carrot at the end of that stick, right? And it says, I'm going to give you a pathway to management, or I'm going to give you a pathway to education. And by doing that, you're going to do exactly what we say, which means you're going to be smiling, you're going to be happy. In-N-Out Burger, go to In-N-Out and see the same exact model that Chick-fil-A figured out. And notice that when you go to In-N-Out Burger or Chick-fil-A, the lines around the corner at lunch. It always is. They make money and they spend money on their employees. And they know that if you can make a happy employee, the formula is so simple. Write this down. To make a happy customer, all you have to do is make a happy employee. Okay? That is so simple. And then when you see that you see employees that are not happy, you can just see where their sales goes, right? So the idea is that you gotta get that message to the employer. I mean, if the employer really does love their employees, right? Well, let's find out why the employees are leaving. Because when they leave, it is a tremendous blow to the employer, because they've got to source another employee, they got to train another employee. There's a big bell curve of when they actually start becoming productive. And when they start becoming productive and start doing really, really good stuff, and then they leave, then the employer loses again, right? So they know what that means. And what's happening out there, one great question to ask every employer is ask them this simple question. Do your employees truly appreciate what you're offering? And 99% of them will say no. They have no idea, they don't get it. The city of Norman, Oklahoma is probably my best example. City of Norman, Oklahoma pays their employee, or offers all benefits to their employees at 100%. 100% they offer all their benefits to them, and guess what? They offer all of the benefits to the dependent at 100%.
Wow.
Right? It's one of the richest plans out there, right? And I asked that lady, I sat down with the HR, she was brand new to Norman, but she was not new to HR, she came from another city, and she's like, it's unbelievable how rich the plan is. And I'm like, let me ask you this, do your employees really appreciate and understand how great they've got it? And she's like, oh no. No, they come in and complain. They come in and complain that it's too expensive. Too expensive for what, right? The real world out there is expensive. You've got a really great situation, man. And then I asked her, are you bending about to break? She's like, yeah, we can't keep it up. And if we do keep it up, we're just keep funding more budget dollars, publicly held budget dollars to the benefits game to keep everybody happy because they haven't had the guts to actually start cost sharing to the employee. What does cost sharing to the employee mean, right? Does anybody know what cost sharing to the employee means? Anybody have a guess? It means that you're going to the employee and say, I need you to help pay.
Yeah.
Right? I need you to help pay, and what do they start with it? What do they do with that? They start going, I need you to start helping on the deductible. Right? They move the deductible from a $500 deductible, which is pretty freaking sweet for the city of Norman. And then they got to move it to a $3,000 deductible. They haven't done it yet. And one day when they do, hopefully we'll be there to help with a soft landing on it. But what's that going to do when you move from a $500 deductible to an employee that's been there for 20 years? Because you know public sector, they're there for a long time. What's that going to do to that morale? Anybody?
Yeah, it's gonna lower it.
It's gonna make them really upset. You don't really care about us anymore, I guess, because you're making us pay, right? Well, there's the problem, right? And so what we need to do is figure out how to solve that problem and make it a softer landing for the employees. Make sure that we're educating and communicating with them, right? Because the biggest problem that employers have is that they don't know how much the employer's paying. All right? Until when? Until you get the COBRA letter. And you realize, holy cow, I was paying $250 a month.
Yeah.
And now you're going to make me pay $1,000. Did you raise the price on me? No, I didn't. No.
That's what we're
What you didn't realize is the employer was paying the biggest freight on your behalf, and you didn't get it until you left. Right? So what a COBRA letter is, just to make sure everybody understands, is it's a legal document basically that the employer has to send out after the employee terminates. Right? You can take your health care if you want to leave the employer. Right? But not only are you going to pay your piece of it that you were paying for the last 20 years, but in order to take your health care, you're going to have to take the employer's portion too. And that's when they realize how big that portion was.
Yeah.
So our job into finding out, do they understand their benefits, educate them on it, show them with a benefit statement at open enrollment, hey, your employer, this is where we do really great, guys, is that we can be, not only are we going to be selling product, but we're going to, so that's going to be the last thing we do, and that's going to be the most rewarding, obviously, but we are going to be educating them what they've got, right? We're going to pat them on the back when the employer, it's hard for the employer to be the cheerleader of their own good deeds, right? They need somebody else to be out there. You don't understand how good you got it, man. The city of Norman is freaking wonderful. And look how much they do. You don't see that outside of these walls anywhere else in any other employer. So when you're able to educate them, to show them this is what you're paying, this is what you're paying, this is what the employer's paying, and this is how much you're saving in taxes by doing pre-tax Section 125. That's what Jeff's going to talk about a little bit. And here's what, by the way, what the employer's saving by you buying products on that. So everybody wins when you do it the right way. But it's a bunch of puzzle pieces. But we are publicly held. Our value proposition is it's simple, it's modern, it's personal. What does personal mean? Insurance is personal. It's hard to enroll in products if you don't understand what their gaps are. Because all we do at Colonial Life, our products are gap fillers. So we call them goals and gaps. Sitting down with an employee and asking them what their goals are is probably the most important thing that you, Mr. Employer, need to make sure that we are doing on your behalf. And if you don't understand what those goals are, and here's a perfect example, we'll ask a female employee, when we sit down and we enroll with them, are you planning on expanding your family? Okay, well, yes, I am. We're gonna get married and I'm gonna have children. Okay, you personally at this point right now in your life have a $5,000 deductible. The problem with what the landscape of healthcare is that employees never know where their gaps are on their core healthcare plans because no one's ever explained it to them. So you think you're gonna go into this and have a child and get away with less than $5,000. You don't have to write all this stuff down, guys. I'll just send it to you, okay? So look at me and try to understand where I'm coming from. Is that when we ask that female employee what their goals are, I'm gonna have a child. You have a $5,000 deductible. Can you, and with all due respect, could that employee pay $5,000 for that deductible? What's the answer to that? What's rank and file? No. Right? Rank and file, we all know rank and file employees do not have $5,000 in the bank. So we need to identify that their goal is to have a child, right? They have a $5,000 deductible. What is one product right there that we want to make sure that we fill that gap and to obtain that goal? What?
Hospital indemnity plan.
Medical bridge, hospital indemnity plan, same thing. Gap plan is the same thing as a medical bridge or a hospital indemnity plan, just so we're all on the same page right here, okay? That is the biggest gap filler you could ask for, right? I've got a $5,000 deductible, and here's a good idea. Maybe you should buy a $3,000 medical bridge. That way, when you go to the hospital, right, you have your baby, you take the receipt as the day you walk out of that hospital, you take a picture of it, you send it to Colonial Life, and then 48 to 72 hours, you personally, Miss Employee, are gonna get a $3,000 check mailed to your mailbox. Not the employer's mailbox, your mailbox. And you're gonna take that $3,000 and you're either gonna apply it to your deductible or you're gonna go to Vegas for the weekend. It's your money. You can do whatever you want with it, okay? So you filled your gap. What's another product that we wanna make sure that that employee knows? Because if we sit down with the employees and we truly understand all the benefits of what the employer is offering, you do not get offered maternity leave. Did you know that?
Yep.
Did you know that? You didn't know that probably, did you, Riley? Right?
Nope.
You did not know that. Well, no. Don't they just let you go? No. It's not a law. They don't have to. Short-term. So you want a short-term disability, right? So you do a medical bridge and short-term disability, and I call that my baby bundle. There it is, right there, right? But that gives the idea to the employer what that means when we say we want to know what your goals are so we can fill your gaps. Goals and gaps, okay? Make it personal. That's what I'm talking about when I say that. Any questions? Any thoughts? Any scenarios that anybody might add to that that they've come across?
I was just going to mention this exact scenario. We had a case, it was actually Dion's case that we just recently did. It was 26 lives. They had the same major medical forever and had a huge increase. And they had a $3,000 deductible. We turned it, we actually ended up putting them in a $4,000 deductible, but with all the money they were saving, because that was their pain point, it was astronomical. They turned around and they funded a group medical bridge at $4,000 to cover the whole deductible, and they still saved $30 a head. And so it started, because we also rolled, Colonial's dental was more competitive than what they had. So they ended up funding the dental and the group medical bridge. So before we wrote $1 of employee funded premium in there, we already had, it was like 30,000 AP, but it was using that exact strategy. So I just want to give kudos to Dion and let everybody know, like, this is, I mean, this flushes out.
We talk about every day.
Yeah, this flushes out to make you more money, to make the employer save money, and like you said, everybody wins if it's done the right way.
Right.
So.
And to your point, so just to make sure that everybody understands what he says, right? If you got, let's just say the city of Norman's got a $500 deductible, okay? You're paying 100% on that for the employee and the employer, right? Imagine if they moved it to $3,000, how much premium a month they would save, but it would make the employees extremely mad. But if they said, employees, we're doing our best, and I'm sorry we have to increase it, but we're gonna buy a medical bridge for $2,000. So instead of you being out of pocket for $500, we're gonna make you out of pocket for $1,000. And then we're gonna buy a policy, which, by the way, if you wanna explain what a medical bridge is, it's really simple. Write this one down. A medical bridge is an insurance policy for your deductible. That's it. It's a gap filler, right? So we're gonna buy a $2,000 medical bridge, which is cost what, $30, $40 a month for every employee, right? And then we're going to raise the deductible to $3,000, and we're going to, so you're going to be out of pocket only $1,000, okay? And I know it's more than 500 that you're used to, but we all have to do something on this, right? And maybe they're going to save enough premium right there to say, I'm going to freaking fund your dental plan, all right? I'm going to fund a short-term disability for you to really make it, and they still win at the end, right? So the employer wins, the employee is getting more product, which is more value, and you know, everybody, it's a win-win all around, right? I kind of lost my train of thought. So we're a single source. We have group products, we have individual products. A group product means, you know, majority of you guys just think individual, right? What you need to understand about the group and the individual is that both products are portable. What does that mean? You can take them with you. The beautiful part about all of our products, they're all portable, right? If Unum sold a group product, they're not portable, right? Because they're literally on a group chassis. Ours is on an individual chassis and it's considered group. We also have, majority of what you guys are going to be talking about is individual. I'm not going to get in the weeds on that, but let's just so you make sure you understand. So what our biggest value to the employers, to the brokers, the biggest value to the brokers is our enrollment services. And if you can just keep talking more about education and communication, you're going to make sure that that employer understands that we want to teach them everything. And we don't want to just teach our products, right? Yeah. So when you see an enrollment, right, you see the core enrollment tables on one side of the cafeteria, and whether it's the same day, the same week, or the same month, there's going to be the Colonial Life or the voluntary. Let's just call it the voluntary table, right? In the Aflac world, and I know a couple of you guys came from it, but I'm just going to give you this scenario, right? The Aflac guy is going to come up on one side of the cafeteria with no strategic connection with the core table done by the benefit broker. Okay, and that's because the Aflac guy comes in, they go knocking on the door in the back door, and the employer lets them in, and then the broker is like, holy cow, I wasn't aware that you guys were interested in voluntary, or I would have probably brought my own guy in. Because when that Aflac guy comes in directly, that broker's not getting any cut out of that commission, right? And that Aflac guy, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bash Aflac, because we do this too. Let's just call it the VB guy. The VB guy comes in there, he's got one job and one job only, is to do what?
Wear out the voluntary benefit.
It's to sell the shit out of it, right?
Yeah.
So he is going to sell everything, right? You want that? Got it, right? Right? And he'll go sell the dental product, the Aflac dental product, from the Aflac dental product. And then that employee comes over to the core table, it's like, I don't need Aflac. I don't need dental, man. Guys over there sold it to me. It's good. I'm fine. I'm completely covered. I mean, there's no gaps in my coverage, right? And then what happens here is when you buy it over on this table, you're going to be overselling, right? They're going to oversell you, and then half that stuff's going to hit the payroll slot. Next thing you know, the employee's like, holy cow, I just bought $400 worth of product. Yeah. Along with my healthcare core, right? I can't afford this stuff, right? So he starts cutting it out. Yeah. And then what does that do? Well, that makes the HR person extremely pissed off, right? Makes the broker extremely pissed off, because whether he had any control over it or not, it still looks bad on him because payroll slots are decreasing. And then it makes the rep and the DGA all in trouble because your BQIs are going upside down, right? So my goal and what I'm trying to tell you is, let's put the tables together. And when we put those tables together and we come in with a strategic idea of here's your core and here's your gap fillers, let's fill it like that way, right? Last year alone, we enrolled, and we can be, you don't have to do it this way if you don't want to, But you need to understand that we can be the enrollers for all products,
Yep.
including your Blue Cross Blue Shield. You don't want our dental, we'll enroll your dental, no problem, right? Just so long that we get 2 of our products. That's the cost of us doing all the labor. Because last year alone, we enrolled $4 billion of other people's products.
Yeah.
And we made $0 commission. But when we do that, and we understand what their core is, and we fill in their gaps, we sell for every $10 of core we enroll, we sell $1 of Colonial Life, and that $1 of Colonial Life is glorious, okay? Because everybody makes money on that, we're filling it. And by the way, when you do that, right, that's where you really up participation.
Yep.
Not only are we upping the participation in our products, but we're upping the participation in the employer's core products. Because we're sitting down with them, we're educating them on what that means, and we're driving the conversation to make it personal to what their goals and gaps are. Make sense?
Yes.
Good.
So again, you can keep the tables separate, all right? If Colonial only gets to come in to be a voluntary vendor, then yes, we can keep it separate, but we can also educate and communicate what your products are, we just don't enroll it. And that's where you really need to make sure when you sit down with the employer, do they understand what they're getting? Well, no. What if we were able to educate them on it? Explain to them what a high deductible is. Maybe they got 2 different plans, a high deductible and a low deductible, right? Everybody goes with a low deductible, right? They just do because they feel like that's safer, right? But I can argue that a guy like you, everybody in this room should be with a high deductible because you're young and you're healthy, right? Let's save the money right now for when we're not. Because insurance is really simple. The young pay for the old, right? That's it. The young pay for the old. Once you're old, the young pay for you, right? Well, this is your opportunities to drive your HSA, right? Which means a high deductible health savings account. So when you sit down with them and educate them and show them where that gaps are, don't be in there. Don't be in the low deductible PPO when you don't have any utilization. You never go to the doctor but twice a year.
Right.
And if you're going to if you're planning on getting pregnant this year, well then that's a whole different conversation. Even though you can still argue the high deductible would be a good one, but if you don't know what their goals are, you don't know how to fill the gaps.
Right.
Cool?
Yes, sir.
Good.
All right. All right, we want one-on-ones. I'm going to give you a really good reasons why we want one-on-ones, because one-on-ones are the most important. Anybody ever say, well, we're not going to do one-on-one? Why do they say I'm not going to do one-on-ones? Give me your best number 1 reason, and I'll give you.
Talking about objections.
Yeah, give me a reason why. Alan, why won't you do one-on-one?
Everybody's on different shifts, so I don't think we can get everybody here. At the same
Okay.
time.
And so is it just time? Is that all it is?
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody would want to sit down. Some people just want to, fill out their paperwork and turn it in to me.
Okay, and before we talked about this, I asked you, do your employees truly understand your benefits, and what did you tell me?
Not really.
They don't really, right? What's your turnover look like?
It's pretty high.
Yeah. Why are they leaving? Pay?
Yeah, people paying them more. Or
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Is it benefits?
I think it's more people paying them more.
Okay, so someone's paying them more. You're paying, and what do your benefits look like compared to your competition?
It's a lot better.
They're a lot better. So what you have, Alan, and with all due respect, you have a wonderful product, you just don't know how to sell it to your employees, right? So think about that, right? If I can teach you to sell it to your employees,
Yeah.
I can teach you to retain and attract your employees better, right? And then you explain to them, hey, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, Costco, Sam's, right? Explain to those examples on what good employees do, right? A good, happy customer is all you have to do is have a happy employee, right? So when we sit down with them, one example that to overcome on an objection is my HR department does it. My HR department sits down with employees, right? What's the big problem with that? Liability wise?
Lots of time, money, and
It's not their job.
What's the liability? Where's the liability?
They're not licensed agents.
They're not licensed agents. So if you sit down with an HR lady who tells you, oh, that's that'll be covered. You'll be fine, right? That cancer plan, it covers all that. You'll be good, right? So when they ask those questions and they give them answers, and they're not licensed, they don't know the products, Alan, let me just say with all due respect, you're lading yourself with a big legal lawsuit if one of your HR people say the wrong thing. Did you know that? So when you're able to have those conversations and make sure that we're understanding, identifying what the problems are, don't get yourself left out there with, I can't say anything else that would be a bad word, but with your ass hanging out, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you need to really think about how you need to cover that gap. One-on-ones. When you do one-on-ones with us, not only are you going to see high participation on your core, if we do the core, but you're going to see a high participation on your Colonial Life. What's your average participation right now on penetration in this office?
Man, to be honest, I don't have that number.
I'm going to tell you what it is, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to be somewhere between 50 to 60% when you do one-on-ones every single time.
Yeah.
50 to 60% of the employees that sit down will buy.
Yep.
If you put a piece of paper in front of them and you say enroll yourself, what do you think that percentage is going to look like? 5 to 15. Yep. They're not going to buy. They don't understand it. They're just not experts, right? We are experts. Even though you don't think you're an expert, you are an expert in what you do right now, and you're going to get better and better about how you position some of this stuff. Now we can't enroll everybody sometimes, and I get that, right? Even though I can argue that we can enroll, no matter where your locations are, but you can only get so many truck drivers in a room, right? But we have an enrollment team, whether you know it or not, that will pick up a phone, that plugs into a laptop, that records the conversation for HIPAA purposes, that will make outbound calls to enroll all of your people if we can't get one-on-ones. Did you guys know that?
Yep.
Okay? Utilize that. Talk about that. Utilize it's plugged into a laptop and it's recorded for HIPAA purposes, right? That means all the conversations are recorded, right? Waivers, right?
Yep.
So here's the big carrots. The two biggest things that we do right here is that we offer the AD&D and the ND Live, okay? The other stuff, first of all, Funded Flex isn't offered as a value add in Texas anymore, so we can't offer that as a free value add. You can have the employer buy it, and Jeff will tell you what the price tag on that is later, okay? But the two biggest one is Chubb and ND Live. The one thing about Chubb is you can offer it every year, so long that you are able to enroll 75% of the. That doesn't really work on the screen. So on the right side, you have to offer 2 products. All that is for free. Excuse me. Let me back up. You need 3 employees to be a Colonial Life client, but only one of them has to buy. All right? When it comes to the value adds, you need at least 10 employees. Okay? We have to offer 2 products. That's it, 2 products, and we have to see 75% of the employees. So you got 10 employees. I need to see 8 of them.
Yep.
Okay? And if Mr. Employer, you agree with that, Mr. Allen, you agree that we can see at least 8 of them, I'm going to give you the Chubb AD&D. That means everybody that comes down to us, whether they buy something or not, or just simply sign the waiver, they're going to walk away with $10,000 of AD&D. Right? Accidental death and dismemberment. Just picture it as just a life policy for you. Okay? $10,000 of AD&D. If that's not attracted to you and you don't want that, you can only pick one, then you could also pick the ND Live. But the biggest problem about the ND Live is it's only for year 1.
Yes.
You cannot get it year 2. So long that we come back out there every year, Alan, to your office and we enroll you, you're going to get the Chubb AD&D so long that we get to see 75% every year. Now it does say 50%, there is some leeway on it, but just think 75% every single time, okay? Because what that's gonna do for you is you're gonna see 8 of them, you're gonna sell, by my numbers, you're gonna sell 4 people, minimum. All right, 4 people is what? $500 a piece?
Yep.
I mean, you're looking at,
Make cakes.
yeah, you make cakes right there, right? MD Live, it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The difference between MD Live on Blue Cross Blue Shield's plan, they offer MD Live too. And the MD Live on Colonial Life plan is what? Anybody?
Copay.
Copay. MD Live on Blue Cross Blue Shield is $40 every time you call in and talk to a doctor. On Colonial Life's MD Live card, no cost, 0.
Awesome.
Okay? But you can only offer it 1 year.
Can they pay for it the year after?
Yours weighs around that.
Okay.
Your office can.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And if you want it, it's only $13 per employee per year.
Okay.
Not
So about
PPM, PPY.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's nothing.
And it's still 0 cost?
It's 0 cost.
That's big.
You guys want MD Live for your own family? Go on Proper and sign up. $13 a year.
Really?
Pretty good for you and all 9 of your dependents. Okay? It goes up to 9 dependents. Sound good?
They rarely get room to grow with MD Live.
How many kids do you have, Ron?
4.
Christmas. You have any idea what college tuition costs?
He will in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be account executive. You don't need college for that, right?
That's right. 18 years old. You're gonna be dialing at 16, aren't they? All right. So, unlike what I just showed you on this slide, you have to have 10 employees. Okay. You have to have 75% participation. All right. On this next slide, there is no minimums, no products. So this slide, you have to have at least 2 products. 2 products pays, it's the small price to add all the value solutions we're offering. But on this one, no products, no participation. But the strategy behind this is you don't want to offer it all in year 1. You want to give them a carrot every year. Something new to keep driving that enforced premium. Well card, right? You guys know well card? Do I need to go into that?
Does everyone have a good understanding of the well card? We have the flyers in there. You can go.
We offer a well card to every one of your employees when they sit down with us, right? Well card's got discounts on providers, which are doctors, eyeglasses, amusement parks, hotels, right? It's a really great little card that every employee needs to have in their wallet.
Yeah.
That's going to take care of, at least buy down some of your prescription drugs and everyday lives, right?
Can that be, just to clarify, offered on top of the Chubb or another value
Yeah,
add?
absolutely.
So this is at our discretion, everything on this?
Mhm.
Okay,
You need to give the well card to every single one of your clients.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Amy is your enroller. Amy.
Yeah, we're using their,
Okay.
their,
Coordinator, yeah.
They probably already do this every time, right? But bring the card in there. Say, this is what we give. This is value, by the way, all right? What value is, I'm giving you more stuff than product. You know, we haven't even brought up the word product yet, right? We're giving you all this. We're going to educate. We're going to communicate. We're going to shield you from liability. And we're going to be there. Not only are we going to be there year 1 at open enrollment, but you have 3 new hires every month. You call me. You call me and I will have, not call me, you call you. You call you and you will have an enroller out there every single month to get those 2 brand new ones.
Yes.
Right? That's how you make yourself very known and visible with your clients. Because if they see you once a year, they forget about you. If they see you or your team every month, then you're part of their team. And that's the important part that you got to remember. Premium only plans, we're going to talk about that. Section 125, we will pay for them. We will pay for the Section 125 that will save your employer's money and your employees' money. Coffees, financial education. This is a non-profit organization. Non-profit organization. I say that because I don't want you to think that once they get their number, they're going to start calling them and selling them other financial products. This is for employees that are going through that need budget help, right? Maybe they're in the oil and gas field and they were making a crap load of money, and then all of a sudden the barrel drops and they're out of work, and they've got all these trucks and boats that they all bought because that's what they do, right? And so this is where they call and try to figure out how they can get themselves back together financially. They're going through a divorce. This is where they call, right? HR answers now. Every employer has access to this, along with your office has access to this. It helps in answering questions on HIPAA, ERISA, things that they can do to help them on the HR. We provide that. $1,700 a year we pay for it. Home office pays for it. Guarantee issue, we'll guarantee issue almost every one of your products. We'll get into that in a second. And then benefit education website. For 50 employees or more, we will host a website that will host all of your products, including your Blue Cross Blue Shield, including Ameriflex, flexible spending information. All that stuff that you guys, that the employer is buying onto, they've got, right? So that's what we do as value add. We're adding on to the deal. Let's see here. Okay, large case. Just some fun facts. Even though our wheelhouse is under 100, we love under 100, man. Those are easy to flip, easy to get into, right? We do 1 in 6 of our cases are a large case. That means they're over 500. Just know that we're in the large case bank game. You guys might not be, but just know when that opportunity rises, you identify it, and then you reach out to Alan, who will reach out to me and Rob Quayle, and we will have home office run the entire process. Get the quote, take no dollars out of your pocket. We will run the whole process, and we will be quarterback on large cases, 500 and above. But if you identify it and we're really in the deal, you can't just go, hey, I got this, I know that they're interested. It's got to be a situation where they're ready to bid, right? And then you reach out to Alan, he'll reach out to me, and we'll get it up to home office, and then you'll be part of the process the whole time, and then you'll end up going back out there to present unless somebody from home office comes out and presents on your behalf. So now we're talking about products, right? Let's put our idea and our positioning caps ahead and try to figure out how we position products. First thing before I get into products, what's the number one question you always want to ask your employers?
Do your employees understand?
Do your employees truly understand what their benefits are, right? The other low-hanging fruit things is finding out if they're already with, Aflac. To me, those are the low-hanging fruits right there. We're always going to be 20 to 30% cheaper than Aflac, right? We're going to offer a value-added positioning, like we talked about, when it comes to education, communication, and AD&D and things like that. We're able to really fit that in there, but those are the ones, if you find out they're with Aflac and you find out that they're having billing problems, those are the ones where we can really help. So on the product side, right, so you have accident, we have 6 products: accident, supplemental health, which is your medical bridges, specialty risk, dental, disability, and life, okay? So on accident, I want you to think to yourself, accident is on and off the job. On and off the job. You want a low-hanging fruit question to ask your employers? Are you having Monday morning claim issues on workers' comp? Anybody know what that means?
Falsifying claims.
Falsifying claims. That means that you got hurt taking down the Christmas lights on the house and you fell off the ladder, right, on a Saturday. And you go in on a Monday morning, and then majority of all workers' claims are filed before noon on Monday.
Yep.
So you want to find a problem, find out if that's an issue. And when it is an issue, because you ask that question to enough employers that you're sitting down in front of, there's going to be one that's going to be, oh God, yeah. Why? What could you possibly offer that can help me with my employees when they're coming in on Mondays saying that they slipped and fell on my property? Well, because our accident policy is on and off the job, we can try to mitigate that risk. Using that word, mitigating that risk, okay? Mitigating that risk. I wouldn't use it like that. Mitigating your risk. When you mitigate the risk, that means that accident policy, we will sit down with those employees. Mr. Employer, Alan, this is a perfect opportunity for you to purchase an accident policy for all of your employees if this is your issue. And here's why. And if that's too expensive for you, I get it. But at the minimum, let us offer it to you at a voluntary cost. Because what it will do, we'll sit down with these employees, we will educate them. If you fall off the ladder on a Saturday, go to the clinic. Your employer loves you. Go to the clinic and get your health care taken care of, because your employer has purchased an accident policy on your behalf to do that, right? You sit down with all those employees, we just gave them another good reason to give them one-on-ones. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right? Gunshot wounds. Did you guys know we have a gunshot wound policy, right? Gunshot wound, here's a fact, 90% of all gunshot wounds are self-inflicted in your own leg. You say that to enough people and they'll be like, I got a cousin. Okay? Everybody's got a cousin that's done that, right? So why not pay, if you're carrying a gun, you're a hunter, you're a security guard, you're a municipality, why not pay an extra $1 a month to help cover an accident, a gunshot wound, right? So it's really, really simple. Medical bridge, the biggest gap filler there is, right? You got to understand it is a insurance policy for
Your insurance.
It's an insurance policy for deductibles. Okay, an insurance policy for your deductible. All right. It costs somewhere between $30 to $50 a month. You can add on ER, an ER visits to it. You can add on diagnostics. You can add on outpatient surgery. All that can be added on. Of course, it adds to the premium of it, but all that can be added on to help fill that gap, right? So to me, most employers never heard of medical bridge. They don't know what a gap is. You know why? Here's I have no proof on this, but I think that I'm experienced enough to understand this. Brokers are afraid of voluntary.
Yeah.
Brokers are afraid of voluntary because the broker is only as smart as what his mentor taught him.
Yeah.
And if every mentor taught the broker that, hey, voluntary is junk, voluntary is used car sales, voluntary is something that you don't really need, and if they want it, they'll ask for it and we'll sell it to them, right? That's what they believe. I don't know why, right? It's our job, it's my job specifically as the RBM to go out there and teach them that it's way more than that, right? So they don't ever know anything about medical bridge or gap because they don't use it. It's not part of their strategy. Like Alan said, smart brokers are out there going, let's raise the deductible, let's add the employer paid bridge. I'm going to save you more money. We're going to educate the employees on how to do it. And then there's other brokers that said, no, that stuff don't work and we ain't going to do it, right? And it's like I spreadsheet it, I go for the cheapest cost out there, and that's how we move our benefits every 3 years because that's their mentality, right?
Yeah.
So the smarter brokers are out there, and then there's the complacent ones that just don't have a creative thought in their mind. Critical illness and cancer. This is the one that keeps you guys. Am I okay? Am I good?
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay.
I was just laughing because you're right. I mean, that's the majority of brokers that what you're saying.
Yeah, I tell you. Specialty risk. This is one that people stay up at night thinking about, right? This is what they're worried about, right? A lot of employees think that they're covered. Right. They think that their health care is going to be just fine, right? Well, when you really think about this and you think about cancer and you think about upfront costs and all that stuff, I mean, it pays, that's not upfront, it pays,
The pocket.
it pays up front, right?
Right.
It pays up front, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
Diagnosis?
Yeah, upon diagnosis, that's right, it pays upon diagnosis. So that means that you, God forbid something happened, now you got a $35,000 benefit, you got diagnosed, you go get your $35,000 and now you got a strategy. I got $35,000 in my pocket to fix what's wrong with me or my family, right? I'm gonna go to MD Anderson down in Houston, or I'm gonna go up to Tulsa, or I'm gonna Mayo Clinic, but I got 35 grand to figure out what the hell's wrong and get me well, or get my family well.
Right.
And that's a big peace of mind in your head. Individual dental, to me, the biggest game changer, right? We want core enrollments. We want core enrollments. We want to be a part of that $4 billion that we enroll out there, that we get $0 commission. Because when we do core enrollments, we are filling the gaps on every one of the employees. Guess what? When you're doing core enrollments, every single one of the employees are going to come down and sit with you.
Yep.
Well, guess what we got into the business of last year? We got into the business of core benefits with dental.
Yep.
Now, if you want dental and we sell the dental, they're going to sit down with you. And when you sit down with you, what are you going to sell? You're going to sell a lot more than just dental, right? And so that gives us a seat at the table. And if you're not pushing that as your number one thought process, because if dental's an issue and you identify dental's an issue, find out if there's a problem with your current dental. Find out if there's increasing in rates, right? If they're increasing in rates, just like all of our products, every single one of them that you see right there, you never have to go through in a renewal, which what that means is never ever will the price go up on you.
Right.
So if you're 25 years old when you buy these products, you're 25 for the rest of your life, including dental. So when you buy dental, there's never going to be an increase in rate. When you buy a Net Dental, if you buy a Meritas Dental, you buy all the other dentals out there, there's going to be increases in rate every year. So when you think about it, you lock that price in, now you don't have to worry about it. Guess what else? The cover letter. The dental doesn't have to be on the cover letter. That's a huge administrative burden off the employer. They don't have to put that out there. All you have to do, if you want to keep your dental till the age of, how old can you keep it? 75? 75. You just have to port it. That means you call up the Colonial Life, you put your bank account down, and then they port it over, and it comes out of your bank account for the rest of your life, or at least till you're 75. Come across a law firm that's got a bunch of old folks in it, right? 60-year-old guys that are going to be retiring pretty soon. You want to make sure you bring up the dental, because at that point they know that if they can retire next year, they're going to be able to hold on that dental to 75 years of age. Other dental products do not do that. Okay, so keeping it to 75, no increases in premiums. That's where you sell the dental side of it. Short-term disability, individual dental, right? I mean, individual disability. We don't do long-term, but it goes up to 24 months. Remember the baby bundle, medical bridge, short-term disability. Those are the conversations. Those are the examples you need to be telling your employers when you're talking about we make it personal, right? Show them and explain to them what the baby bundle looks like. And we have our life products, which we no longer offer the universal life. I gotta get a new slide on that. Questions, thoughts?
What this goes back to the value adds, but I remember when I was with Aflac, Colonial, people thought they had some like college program paid for and like scholarships. And was that the coffee same benefit as coffee, or is that something? Are you aware? Like we would run into cases where they would say, well, Colonials, you know, we have a, what is it, Barry? They have a college like tuition program or something like that. Is that an old value add? Or?
We've got something like that. I don't know. It came out recently. I'm not up to speed.
The last couple of years, it sounded like.
Yep.
One company that swears.
Edit that part out. We have it. It's not on my slides. I don't talk about it. Because I feel like
it seemed misleading. It didn't seem real. Like there was, like what the people were telling us in the marketplace was that Colonial had this program where their college would be paid. Like it seemed not feasible from my side of it. Whenever I was with the other carrier, I was like, how is that possible? They would go bankrupt like that. Like there's got to be more to it. I don't know if Colonial agents were pushing it a certain way or if it wasn't what it says it was.
It's complicated. It's not funded, okay? So the employer has to fund it to make it work. Okay. And then there's tax relief out of it too.
I'm sure I could look it up.
It gets a little complicated on that. And then there's something about being able to consolidate your debt in that as well. To me, I brokers just don't. It's enough already,
Right,
right?
yeah,
I was
I
supposed to
understand.
do this in 15 minutes and I freaking took the whole time and I'm in the public sector because I just can't get
I
that much
understand.
stuff in it.
Yeah,
But
I
yes,
understand.
there is something there. Other questions, other thoughts? Just think to yourself the carrot, right? And be a student of the game. When you
Right.
go to employers and you see happy employees, ask them. Well, out of curiosity, I'm seeing everybody happy. Does your employer take care of you guys? And you're gonna see when you see happy employees, you all know what happy employees look like. There's always something at the end of that stick. And then when you see happy employees, they're not just being happy because they're just, underpaid and under-benefited and they're just happy generally. There's a reason for them to be unhappy. So pay attention to that. When you're at a restaurant or you're at a retail store, just look at happy employees and ask the question, does your employer take care of you? And validate what I'm saying.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, guys, does everyone kind of understanding the positioning of everything Mike's talking about? It's all gold. Like, we want to use these things, we want to ask those questions, and this puts us out there in the marketplace as true consultants, like what we practice every day. We are, like what we tell people, we sell business solutions, or we provide business solutions. This is true business solutions, and there's a bunch of people out there in the market doing what we do in the VB space that are, like Mike said, used car salesmen. They're come and go. They're fly by night type deal. They'll come and sell a bunch of policies, and then they'll never see them again. If we position ourselves as true consultants, as true solution oriented an agency here, then we will set ourselves apart leaps and bounds from everyone else out there. So but we gotta, like Mike said, we have to be students of the game. We have to educate ourselves. We need to know all these policies. We need to know all these products. And then when the situation arises and we're out there talking to these people, we say, oh, I have something in my arsenal for that. I have, here it is. We're gonna, we used to let us sit with 75 people. We're gonna put AD&D on everyone for you. Hey, how does that sound? For free. Oh my gosh, yeah, you can sit with 100% of the people. Just using that as positioning, as a positioning tool and a true solution, we're gonna separate ourselves from everyone else. I promise you that. So,
You guys know how long I've been doing this at Colonial Life? Any guesses?
15 years.
Anybody else?
18.
Anybody?
25.
3 years. 3 years. I didn't know anything about voluntary before, right? I called on brokers on a different product. Okay, it was called a dependent eligibility audit and a claim audit for large case self-funded stuff. But the reason why Colonial came and got me is because I was able to tell a story to solve a problem, right? Because when you're selling dependent audits, you have to be able to understand what the problem is, explain what the problem is, and then give them a solution, right? I didn't know anything about voluntary 3 years ago. I didn't. I was like, well, are you sure? I've never been on the carrier side. I don't know anything about this. Like, it doesn't matter. You just need to be able to explain the problems and sell in solution-based opportunities. And that's all I did. So I don't even know, you bring me out to a broker, I tell the rep, you better understand the products because I don't understand all the products. It's not my job to understand all the products, but what I do out there is I teach them what the solution is, right? I teach them how the puzzle pieces work together, and then I rely on my rep to be able to explain the product side of it, right? So just know that it doesn't take long. The game will eventually slow down for you, where you'll start understanding the pieces. Just start paying attention, educating yourself as much as possible right now. Understanding where the healthcare trends are going, the high deductibles, where it's been. In 2000, what was our deductibles? $250, $500,
Yeah.
right? And guess what? The increase hasn't had anything to do with Obamacare. It was already going up. 10 years ago, the total healthcare spend in pharmaceuticals was 10%.
Yeah.
And today it's 19%. In all of healthcare, they have doubled in 10 years on pharmaceutical. What does that do to the employer, right? Mm-hmm. What does that do to all the employees? Why should the 400-pound employee that sits next to me get the same rate I get, right? Well, They have to. So what do they have to do? Well, they have to start educating him on how to be a healthier person, because we're all part of the pool, right? When you got one bad, you know, that's the reason why you got 30 employees and 25 of them are females between the ages of 22 and 35. Where's the risk? Where's the risk in health? If you have majority of your females between age 22 and 35. They're baby bearing, right? And then you got a group that's got 30 employees and 25 of them are 55 and higher. Where's the risk?
Heart attack, cancer.
Heart attack. You're dealing with all of that piece of that, right? So it's all about mitigating the risk of situations. That's what insurance is, right?
Yeah.
Understanding where the risks are and then trying to figure out how to fill the gaps and goals.